All right. Night before, any bombshells that are about to come out that have become part of the NFL draft stigma?
Man, what I'm fascinated by right now is the divide at the top two picks. And I know that sounds cliche, but I just can't remember a time. We're 24, about 24 hours out from the draft where the number one pick, people truly don't know. A lot of people think Trayvon Walker. A lot of people think that's the direction General Manager Trent Baalke wants to go. But I do think there's some divide in that building. I do think there are people that lean Aiden Hutchinson. And then you go to the number two pick, and the conversation is not that different, but it seems to lean more between some people really like Aiden Hutchinson if he's there. Even if he is there, some people really like Kayvon Thibodeaux, not Trayvon Walker. So I am fascinated by that dynamic, Ryan, that there is a small chance that we can have this thing flipped completely upside down, that the first two picks could go Trayvon Walker and then Kayvon Thibodeaux, with a shocker that Aiden Hutchinson, it's a small chance, but Aiden Hutchinson could be on the board at 3. That would be crazy.
That would be crazy, But what it's showcased is that the NFL and the draft-needy teams at the top are all believing that a edge rusher is a game changer for them, and there honestly could be 3 guys to go in the top 3 that are going to rush the passer this year.
That's exactly right. Even if you do have the quarterback, or even if you don't, you got to get after the quarterback. You got to impact the quarterback. And the strengths of this draft class are very simple. It's the guys that make life miserable for the quarterback that we just discussed, and it's the guys that keep the quarterback upright on the offensive line with Evan Neal, Ike Ekwonu, and Charles Cross that are all going to go probably within the top 7 picks of this draft. So that's the theme right there. It's the trenches. Maybe it's not the most glamorous thing to the viewers and fans, but that's the reality of this draft, and it's going to help a lot of teams for a long time.
We're speaking with Connor Rodgers, Bleacher Report draft analyst. We're going to have Kayvon Thibodeaux on the show here in about an hour and a half or so, and you just mentioned him a little bit ago. He was the presumptive number 1 overall pick when the season started in college football. He went through some injuries, and then there's been a bit of an offseason during the draft process where some pundits and some analysts have talked about his lack of effort and whether he places football at the very top of his list. But you really see him maybe as a chance of going to number 2 if it plays out that way. Where does Kayvon sit, and what kind of impact can he have on the NFL after everything that's gone on this offseason and the injury that took a hold this college football season?
He could have a huge impact. There's no doubt about that. He's not on the level of some guys we're accustomed to seeing at the top, like Myles Garrett. I know, obviously, you're going to have Chase Young today. He's not one of those guys. I think that would be an unfair stratosphere to put him in, even Nick Bosa level. But can he be a Brian Burns kind of player? I really think he can. And does he have a lot of ceiling to tap into to develop? He really wins with speed to power and speed to the outside corner. If you start to coach up his hand usage, develop an array of pass rush moves and a pass rush plan, which I believe an NFL staff will do, you can have a really, really high-end rusher. And that's why it starts for him at pick number 2. It is fascinating he has not been in the conversation for pick number 1 at all throughout this entire process. And that's kind of the feel you get when you talk team by team with Kayvon Thibodeaux. I mean, for me, it feels like the Lions really like him at 2, and then you get into a conversation that maybe he does slide. Maybe it's in Atlanta or a Seattle or a team that trades up when they see him fall out of the first 4 or 5 picks. And that might be less about Kayvon Thibodeaux and more that just teams love Aiden Hutchinson. Surprisingly, they love Trayvon Walker despite the lack of production, and they really, really like the offensive line class. So Kayvon Thibodeaux, it feels like he's been over-scrutinized a little bit, but he's still a top 10 pick, and he still has the most upside of any defensive lineman in this entire draft.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.